Time magazine calls Hunter S. Thompson the Unabomber of contemporary American letters. The author of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he has been a journalist and an author and a hybrid of the two. But there has been one form of writing that has remained constant for him. It is letter writing. The Proud Highway is a collection of some of the 20,000 letters Hunter Thompson has written since 1955, with letters to people like Tom Wolfe, Norman Mailer, William Faulkner, and Lyndon Johnson. This collection chronicles up to the year 1967 and the publication of his first book, Hell's Angels. I am pleased, at long last, to have Hunter Thompson on this program. Welcome. Great to have you here.
Nice to be here.
To do this, to write these letters as well as they are, to keep them, to make carbons, says to me two things. One, you had a sense of wanting that you were going to be something and be somebody, and this was your way.
Yeah, I think I had to have that sense. I had to have it as a writer. I'm thinking off the top of my head here, because I was not going to make it in other ways. Nelson Algren once said, in a question asked me, why are you a writer? He said, because I couldn't be anything else. I tried cab driving. I tried working on the railroad. I couldn't even get a job most of that time. I was evicted or fired from every job I had. Yeah. And then evicted from every place I lived. So eventually, I guess in 72, I moved to Colorado. I finally had to buy the place because I couldn't move anymore. Yeah. There was just too much. It was like a piss ad. And, I began to kind of call in the letters. My mother had some. Bill Kennedy had some.
He does the foreword to this book.
Yeah. We'll talk about his wine drinking later on.
All right, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But you had the copies, and you kept them. And you kept them in that trunk.
Trunks,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trunks.
Oh, boy.
Why did you keep them?
I'm trying to think. I guess because as sort of a breaking-in journalist at that time, I was taught, and I have since taught, that what you want to do is keep copies of your stories and your bylines. That's your passport for your next job. And I guess I figured that, what the hell, I'm going to keep copies of the stories, I may as well keep the letters.
We can know more about about Hunter Thompson from these letters than anything that he has written outside of letters or anything he's done in his life.
Yeah, you try having every page of your life. For every one letter in here, there are 12 or 15 cut out. But I had to listen to these things for a year with the editor, Doug Brinkley, and my son and his wife parading these things in front of me. So I'd say, well, how about this one, Hunter? Calm down. And then who is this and who is that? So I had to rank my memories. And it was like, this is your life in spades.
As you went back and reviewed them.
Had to,
And the correspondence.
Yeah, these were real. I've never even looked at these things until they came out of the basement, like some kind of a genie, that was down there.
Writing was the only thing that you knew you could do that satisfied you.
Well, that I could get paid for it.
They didn't pay for the other stuff.
Yeah, and then when I learned about newspaper work, I learned that to work for a morning paper, you can work late at night. You can go to work at 2 o'clock and, get off at midnight or so. Once you learn that, I can't imagine going back. I did an afternoon paper after I got out of the Air Force. Jesus Christ, I didn't know the difference. Suddenly I had to go to work at 7 in the morning, and I didn't last long at that.
Yeah. Did you create a persona that you thought would serve you?
Serve me? That
was you.
I'm afraid if I created it and then, crafted it and made it,
Yeah.
no, that's giving me too much credit. Being a hillbilly, a lazy person, basically, I had to stick with whatever it was. I just documented it. Now, why?
You just documented what you were.
Well, but by doing a logical thing, like keeping letters, yeah, I did have a sense, and it's clear in this book, that I was going to be a writer. And if the reason was, well, I can't do anything else, well, so be it. You try going and getting a job now as a stockbroker. Going through personality disease. Selling used cars. But before I did the Hells Angels book, I found myself lining up at 4:30 in the morning in San Francisco, down on Howard Street, with winos, literally, to be selected. And I was lining up for the selection process to be picked out as those worthy to be allowed to deliver Safeway, handbills all around the neighborhood, every household.
You were lined up to be considered
and I was
worthy to do
rejected. I was rejected.
Why? You didn't measure up.
Politically, I didn't measure up, And I thought, what the hell? People, being hauled forward, helped forward into the truck, and then luckily.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that that wasn't going to work. I couldn't get a job as a cab driver because I hadn't been there long enough as a registered voter.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried every conceivable thing. The newspapers wouldn't hire me.
What writer has taught you the most? Who have you learned the most from?
Well, taught me the most. I think maybe the most important lesson I was trying to learn early was that since I was this desperate and this kind of, very limited qualifications for anything else, I was trying to set my fate and figure out if I could get away with it. And what I learned from Hemingway, mainly, I think Hemingway, the best lesson from him, I had quarrels with some of his prose or writing, here and there. But what he taught me was that you can want to be a writer and get away with it. You can be a writer. And that was very important at the time. It wasn't like I was I wasn't a dilettante. I wasn't playing around. I had to be a writer. And that helps. I think that kind of thing, yeah. There are times when you have, you find that it's not really a choice. You made the commitment a long time ago. And so it was nice to find out that at least somebody got away with it. And after that, I began to look at Hemingway's prose. But that was the main lesson that I learned from him.
Look at his prose for...
No, he taught me that you can be a writer and you can be a success at it.
Yeah.
You don't have to, take these slings and arrows forever. I'm starting to sound like some kind of a stockbroker, a big competitive freak. But
No.
to get away with it is very important.
Getting away with it.
Yeah, to be a writer. I consider that getting away with it. Yeah.
But the stories, I heard this story a long time ago about you. And the writers change, but the story is you poring over whoever it might be, Hemingway or Faulkner or Shakespeare. And it's this legendary story of you poring over and someone saying, Hunter, what the hell are you doing? And you saying, I'm trying to get the rhythm.
Oh, there were times when I would type it sometimes. Just to, you'd be surprised if you type somebody else's lines. I try to do Kerouac's poetry. I can't really do it. Kerouac had different rhythms. But if you type out somebody's work, you learn a lot about. Basically, it's music, I think.
Yeah.
And from typing out parts of Faulkner, Hemingway, Fitzgerald. I mean, these were just these were writers that were very big in my life and the lives of the people around me. So yeah, I wanted to learn from the best, I guess. And that was one way to do it. But I was quite serious,
When you wrote Faulkner,
I guess.
you did write Faulkner. It's in here.
Oh, yeah.
What? I mean, where did it come from? You just wanted to connect and say, "Send me some money."
Oh, no. Oh, I did say that, though, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
No, that was a joke.
It got his attention.
No, but I think it was part
But no
of
money.
I think it was part of the thinking, the hubris of the 60s. It was even before the 60s.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I'd connected previously with, I would call James Reston, like 3 in the morning. At his cabin in Virginia.
Yeah.
And the Times, when I talked to the Times, to give me his number and ask him why the Soviet Army chorus wasn't being let into the country, being allowed in. I was outraged at that.
Yes.
And once you learn you can do that.
It's licensed. It's licensed to go fishing.
But I'm finding out, yes. But I'm finding out the other side of it now.
Yeah. Oh, so you get in the
I
call.
have to change my phone number every 3 days. But
because of this book, or because
no.
they want to talk to you?
Well, they is a complicated mix of fans. But I think the 60s were a time when, like when I applied for a job
Yeah.
as the governor of American Samoa.
Oh, this was a letter to Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Exactly but it was not a prank, as he tested.
No.
I really believed that I was the best person. Not,
Well, you could probably make an argument.
I did.
I know.
I thought I was still in the running
Until
when I got pissed off about his Vietnam policy enough to write him and say, take my name off the list.
Just
And if that was hubris, well, but I think in the 60s...
Well, what was it? If it wasn't, what was it? I mean, it
was
hubris or something else?
Or a psychotic episode where you believe that the authorities are really on your side.
Yeah.
Norman Mailer said it one time very well, that with Kennedy, John Kennedy, he had a belief that if you could get over the White House fence, over the spikes and run crazily across the yard, dodging the Secret Service people, then if you made it to the White House, that Kennedy would say, "Come on in, you were safe there."
In other words, if they didn't get you before you got to the door, you were home free.
The guy on top was really going to be on your side.
Exactly. If you could run through that course.
Well, I was just trying these letters in this book. That was my way of running through it. I believed that Lyndon Johnson would get these letters. Well, Larry O'Brien answered them.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, no.
The Postmaster General.
Yeah. At that time, I think he was a special assistant, too.
Right. Special assistant Jack Kennedy and stayed on, and then Lyndon Johnson made him Postmaster General.
Yeah. And commissioner of the NBA.
Right.
No, O'Brien had a great sense of humor. But when he wrote back, I thought he was serious. I went out and tried to charge up some white linen suit.
Now, do you have any sense? This sounds like I'm your priest, but here goes.
It's a nice role for you. I'm sure you're quite at home with it.
Well, I don't know, but I try.
Go ahead. I can't do it.
No, I can't either, but I'll try. There's all that talent there. Has it been used well or squandered?
You mean, could I have been even higher and brighter? I could have been...
not higher and brighter, just, read these letters, and there is huge talent.
I would have to say that, yeah.
It is.
It's like, you identify it.
Res ipsa loquitur.
Res ipsa loquitur.
Yeah.
And I probably still misspell it. You can imagine how many corrections I've had. From the Harvard Department of Languages.
Yeah.
All in there people
But stay with me on the idea.
Oh, okay.
All right. At the final day of reckoning, he says, or she says, Hunter, have you done everything and the best with what I gave you? Have you?
Did I hide my candle under a bushel?
Yes.
Probably.
He says, or she says, I gave you this talent. Did you throw it away? And what's your best evidence?
No.
That you used it well.
Well, what the hell am I supposed to? I'm on trial?
Yeah. No, you're trying to get in. I got the keys.
No, you don't. No. And the voice is not going to have it either. I know who has the keys.
Who has the keys?
Well, I'll just tell you now, just between us. I'm sure that there are no cameras on like that. Yeah, right. That I am a roadman.
A what?
A roadman.
A roadman.
For the Lords of Karma. Yeah. For the Great Hall.
Yeah.
I know what happens to you, me, and everyone else when they supposedly die. It's this passage around the Great Loop.
Yeah.
And they come eventually to be judged. Or just, assessed.
All right.
They go before the Lords of Karma, and their lives, the decision's already been made.
Yeah.
And as a roadman, I'm a cog in the wheel. I know that I have to come back around way too often, frankly. And other people come back around in the form that they deserve. Now you can come back as a three-legged dog in Bangladesh in a hurricane. If that was the judgment of the Great Hall. But it's based entirely on how what you do now. And in the Oriental Buddhist scheme of things, karma takes a long time. You're like your son's you come back around and tend to be the slave of your son. But now, the karma is sped up. So I believe you got your karma now. I don't have to believe. I'm a roadman. I mean, I can tell you what's happening. Yeah.
Now, you said in this that two things that you wonder about. One, did all the people do the same thing? Did they keep their letters? Did they have their letters? Did they write these letters? Right? That's one of the things you're worried about. And the other thing you're concerned about is where are all those who helped you?
Well, I just remember that I basically responded to a level of correspondence, and the letters I got were as good and sometimes better than the ones I sent back out. I guess it was a challenge. It didn't seem like it at the time. That was the way we were accustomed to communicating with each other. Mm. Now, I don't know if we came out of some strange cocoon in Louisville.
Our birthplace.
Yours too?
No, I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah. I didn't see the historic degenerate sag in your eyes that you get from Louisville.
Yeah, right. But Diane Sawyer is either from Louisville or Lexington, one of the two.
There is a weird Kentucky strain here.
Yeah.
And the Carolina strain, oddly enough, most of the settlement in the country moved westward on very horizontal lines. Like, I know most of my ancestors are from Virginia. Mm-hmm. And Virginia moved to Kentucky.
And then further west.
And then you get the Carolinas, go very specifically through Tennessee, then into Arkansas.
Go over the Grand Smokies.
No, you're all the way across the Mississippi.
Right.
Like in the north, like Wyoming and Colorado are very different states because they were settled differently. Germans settled in a horizontal line out to Wyoming, and Scandinavians above them. Wild people, freebooters, settled Colorado.
Let me read some of these letters because we're talking about them so much that I'm going to just take a bite out of this one. A sad day, November 22nd, 1963, Woody Creek. I am tired enough to sleep here in this chair, but I have to be in town at 8:30 when Western Union opens, so what the hell? Besides, I'm afraid to sleep for fear of what I might learn when I wake up. There is no human being within 500 miles to whom I can communicate anything, much less the fear and loathing that is on me after today's murder. God knows I might go mad for lack of talk. I have become like a psychotic sphinx. I want to kill because I can't talk. I suppose you will say, this is to William Kennedy, the rotten murderer has no meaning.
Rotten murder?
The rotten murder has no meaning for a true writer of fiction, and that the real artist in the little magazines are above such temporal things. I wish I could agree, but in fact, I think that what happened today is far more meaningful than the entire contents of the little magazines for the past 20 years. And the next 20, if we get that far.
Magazines we're talking about.
All right. We now enter the era of the train. Neither your children nor mine will ever be able to grasp what Gatsby was after. No more of that. You misunderstood it, of course, peeling back only the first and most obvious layer. Take your realism to the garbage dump or the little magazines. They're like a man who goes into a phone booth to pull his pod. Nada, nada. The killing has put me in a state of shock. The rage has trebled. I was not prepared at this time for the death of hope, but here it is. Ignore it at your peril. I have written Simonin, that cheap bookstore Marxist, that he had better tell his boys to buy bullets and forget the dialectic. This is the end of reason, the dirtiest hour in our time. I mean to come down from the hills and enter the fray. Tomorrow, a cable job request to the reporter. Failing that, the observer. Beyond that, God knows, but it will have to be something. From now until the 1964 elections, every man with balls should be on the firing line. The boat will be the most critical in the history of man. No matter what, today is the end of an era. No more fair play. From now on, it is dirty pool and judo in the clinches. The savage nuts have shattered the great myth of American decency. They can count me in. I feel ready for a dirty game.
I was angry.
Read one for me. You read one for me.
There's always a mistake, but what do you want?
I don't know, you take it.
Well, let's just open
Here's one to Charlie Carroll.
Oh. What are these?
Glasses that I used to read.
Maybe I can use them too. Let's see. I can. I keep them dangling over the house.
Yeah, I know.
What a horrible curse.
There is now surgery for that.
Oh? The Russian stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're getting better at it.
Retinal laser.
Yeah, all that stuff, yeah.
Well, when it works for you, let me know. Because I think one of the great things I could do for the human race
Is?
would be to solve this problem. But a curse it is.
To have glasses dangling all over the house or not to be able to read?
Well, it'd be a lot worse not to have any glasses dangling over the house. What the hell did people do in the 13th century?
When they went
they didn't read anything. But imagine being half blind in the middle of some war. You're working for Genghis Khan. You can't see the enemy.
Yeah, I know.
No wonder they died early.
All right, this is a letter to Carroll.
Let's see. Well, Doug Brinkley's note here says, researching the Hells Angels had inherent dangers. March 26, 1965, 318 Parnassus, San Francisco. Dear Charlie, it's been a wild day here. I don't know what's coming. We'll try to keep with it. Let's hope the rhythm's maintained. It's been a wild day here. At 6:30 this morning, I finally rooted the last Hell's Angel out of my living room and went to bed, just as Sandy was getting up to do her 4-hour stint at the real estate office. I'm doing a piece on motorcycle gangs for the nation. No money, but plenty of kicks. Before I let them into the house last night, I explained that I didn't go much for fist fighting, but preferred to settle my beefs with a double-barreled 12-gauge shotgun. They seemed to grasp this concept, and we got along fine. Sandy, my wife, Sandy's hysteria abated. I was a gallon of wine and a case of beer poorer, but in the end, I think I got the makings of about 5 good stories. Paragraph. That's what prompts me to write to you tonight. I have done many more hours of research on this than any Nation article, parentheses at $100 each, deserves, and right now I'm wondering what to do with the rest of it. Well, pretty good choice. As you know, I guess, Both Time and Newsweek did pieces on it this week, but mainly arm's length bullshit, despite the Newsweek claim that their man submerged himself in the action. About half those quotes came out of Chronicle, SF Chronicle clips, a very funny and colorful series done by my old friend George Draper and my new friend Bernie Jarvis. There's a little asterisk here, and it says Draper and Jarvis both worked for the Chronicle. Jarvis, who appears as Pritam Bobo in Hell's Angels, introduced Thompson to the biker gang.
All right, now here's my question. Do you, in going back over these and reading them for this book?
That's the first time I read that.
The first time you ever read that?
First time I read that in 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what did it tell you when you reread these? What did you...
It's more like what it didn't tell me, I guess.
What didn't it tell you?
This sounds like more than familiar hubris. But I actually lived in fear, and this is for a year. And I couldn't say anything. It was understood that whatever they brought out of the files was the file. And I kept thinking, why didn't eat acid or LSD for a long time? People told me that I was far too violent, to ever go near acid. And I kind of filed it. I didn't go near acid for a while, but finally I did, and I was not that violent, oddly enough. It was a nice feeling. But I kept waiting for, all your letters every day for 10 or more years. I kept, nobody would volunteer for that, I don't think. Only a madman or somebody who had some kind of a troll into the records. So I figured I got off easy. I didn't find out that I was really a monster.
Yeah.
That I betrayed my friends as a youth and walked on their heads and was a liar. Yeah. I think my main crime that I wasn't making enough money. So I look at it as a justice, like the right wheel comes around. And I'm just getting paid for my work during that period. During this period, I was not paid for my work. And no wonder. I was writing 10 pages a day and sending 9 of them to people all over the world. Kennedy justifying fiction. And I'm not sure what I was thinking.
I mean, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'd write 3 and 4 a day. Huge ones, too. Very, almost similar. Today you'd put it on a computer and change the name.
Exactly. That's exactly what you do. How do you write today? Computer?
No, I still work on the, it's a new IBM Selectric.
Yeah. I didn't even know they had IBM Selectrics now.
Oh, you ought to order one. Have it set up, rent one for 2 weeks. It is like a computer.
Yeah.
No more of those wheels and that. It's, I'm not selling them. But no, I use a computer a lot. And,
all right, let me come on to some other things I want to talk about. One is the mainstream press in America today. Your indictment is?
Indictment?
Indictment.
All right, those swine. I think they've, and I don't blame them necessarily, but accepted the truly heinous morass of the Clinton administration. This makes Harding look like some kind of avenging angel. I think the press has accepted it as sort of normal, and I think people have. And I guess to some extent I have, because I'm out there on the ramparts,
demanding better,
or death for the lying dog. That's where the fun was.
We need a cultural revolution in America.
I wasn't asking for a handout. I just wanted people, heads chopped off, and there was great satisfaction in that. And despite the curses and disses of whoever wants to judge the '60s now.
Well, you say you have more. I mean, you judge Nixon higher than Clinton. I mean, your contempt for Clinton is so strong. And
we got rid of 2 presidents.
Johnson and Nixon.
Yeah. And I guess beat Goldwater, elected Jack Kennedy. And that was a pretty active period. You really could feel a part of politics. Mm. And, yeah, if you didn't really feel it viscerally or in the mind, you could get beaten a few times or gassed. If you're getting the tear gas, yeah, I miss it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I really, everybody should be gassed on. It's like I'm for the draft. I think everybody should be in the military. I think it civilizes the military. That's why we got out of the Vietnam War. We'd still be fighting it if it hadn't been for the draft and the people who got drafted. No, Christ. We may be in a war now. We might not know it. There may be 2 or 3 going on. We're wondering. Yes, you swine. No. But there's a difference between a military that's recruited from the unemployable, from the ranks of those, and one that's recruited from campuses all over the country for a limited.
The boys from the campus didn't want to go.
Well, a lot of them went anyway.
Yeah.
And I believe that civilized the military to the point that we were able to get out of Vietnam, finally.
So in terms of this president, the mainstream press is not...
I'm not sure that... I can't say you better get after the Whitewater or... There is no war, really. I mean, if Clinton's that bad, who's the enemy? But it's kind of hard. I don't see that conflict, that which side he won.
You voted for him in 92.
In 92, yes, I did. I wanted to beat George Bush. I totally voted for him. I endorsed him. I was suckered into it. And I wouldn't have voted for Dole last year. I didn't vote for Clinton either. But...
What did you do?
I voted for Ralph Nader.
Right.
I figured it was an honorable vote, but yeah, as we learned in the late 60s, you can't see honorable votes. You know, it doesn't. It's nice, but it helps to really change things.
A couple of things before we go. Gonzo journalism came when you went to cover the Kentucky Derby and. Oh.
I think it came as I knew that the whatever description or word term you'd use to call whatever I did was not in the book. So I think I just picked out gonzo journalism. It came from a letter.
This is when you just sent off your notes, was that?
Yeah. Ripping them out of the binder. Yes. And Stedman's drawings were already in. And I was left.
Yes. It's a great story.
Yeah. And I finally ended up, that's when I discovered what is now the fax machine.
Yeah.
Then it was the what the hell was it? Xerox telecopier.
Yeah.
A horrible thing that smoked and put off weird gases. Yeah. But you could transmit a page from here to San Francisco in minutes. And then to the printer, if you're really desperate.
Is there one letter in your collection that you prize the most that you have received?
This thing is tragically short of incoming.
Yes, you got a point there.
Yeah, but Jesus,
but there are some correspondences here, clearly. Tom Wolfe, Corot.
We'd have to get down to love letters, and then I'd have to sort them. No, I couldn't. It's been an incredible pleasure and a nightmare time to go through this correspondence.
It kept the skills sharp, didn't it?
You bet. Yeah.
It did that.
Yeah, you could not sleep or lie down.
The Proud Highway, Hunter S. Thompson, Saga of a Desperate Southern Gentleman. That's me.
Right. I thought you'd get that. Yeah.
Edited by Doug Brinkley, forward by the famous William J. Kennedy. Thank you, Hunter.
Hey, thank you. Pleasure. That was fun.
My thanks to Hunter Thompson. Up next, Isabella Rossellini.